Hello, this is Deacon Larry, and this is Renewed. We are set in a season in which we're reflecting as a church on death. And at the earlier part of this month, we celebrated the Feast of All Saints. As the church moves through the year, the saints are very much a part of our calendar. I think one of the big challenges for us in the church today is to tell and recall the story of our saints. There's so much going on in our lives and so much stories and so much input that we have to learn through our schooling and our learning that very often we can grow up. If you were born in 1980, you knew one pope for the majority of your life who is a saint now, St. John Paul II. He can capture your imagination. St. Theresa of Calcutta, who just died 25 years ago. They're these kind of super luminary saints who occupy so much of our mind and our reflections in the 21st century. But the reality is the church has thousands of saints whose stories can motivate and encourage us and help us to reflect on how to live. So often we think of saints because of the manner in which they died. When we're little children, sometimes it's that kind of curiosity game of who got beheaded and who got hung and who was stabbed, all of those kinds of terrible things. But as adults, the saints are important because they are people who we are called to imitate their virtue. I would like to recommend that there are some wonderful ways to learn about the saints today. One is an author, Robert Ellsberg. Robert Ellsberg has written two books, one called All Saints. He's actually written more books, but to recommend today, All Saints, which is a reflection on men and women of holiness throughout the ages. And another one, the subsequent book, Blessed Among Us, just looking at the table of contents. There's the story of St. Perpetua and Felicity, two young women, one a mother, Perpetua, who is assisted by Felicity, who were martyred in the Roman persecutions, standing up for their faith. St. Angela Merici, the founder of the Ursulines, order of nuns who have been involved in education and healthcare for years, or St. John de Brebeuf, who was one of the early Jesuits who came to the area that is now Canada and the United States to evangelize, and who was himself martyred. Another book I'd like to recommend to you on saints as we're reflecting in November on this call to sanctity in life and in death is a book by the Jesuit priest, Father James Martin, called My Life with the Saints. It's important because he reflects on how four saints have influenced his life. One of them was St. Peter, of course, the apostle, the one who followed Jesus and said, "You know, Lord, I love them." St. Francis of Assisi, a wonderful holy man who embraced poverty and simplicity as a way of life and founded one of the largest religious communities of men and women in the world. Then St. Theresa of Lisieux, our own St. Theresa here, how she influenced his life with her wonderful enthusiasm for the faith and the call to a simple life. And then Dorothy Day, the founder of the Catholic Worker Movement, of which we have a house right here in our neighborhood. And finally, St. Theresa of Calcutta. 5 lives of 5 saints reflected in this one story of one life. It's a great invitation for us to say, how might the saints influence me as I live? And then where you seek out James Martin's book, Robert Ellsberg's book, or any number of books on the saints, to be able to, as you read them, ask, how might I imitate this saint? And thus, how might I imitate Christ? And how will I be renewed?
Please like, subscribe, or comment below.